the student of the game. I am Kyle Nash, the student of the game. And listen, if you're here, chances are you like talking sports. And we're glad you're doing it with us here tonight, of course. Continuing with NFL previews, going division by division. Got a fun slate tonight. Early on, of course, we'll have Carlton Henry back on once again. C-Hen to talk his proper team in the form of the Detroit Lions here. He'll be here soon enough. And frankly, I'm wondering if he'll have an answer regarding how his quarterback, Jared Goff, is responsible for the blowing up of contracts in the NFL. Oh, no, obviously he's not the only one, of course. I just like making that joke quite a bit and all that. So that should be fun there, too. Also looking out for Raphael Hayne to come back to talk about his Bears. That's right, two back-to-back guys that we had on last week talking about different teams, be talking about their more native teams here on the pod tonight. So look for Raphael Hayne of the three-point conversion to jump in. Mikey Byrne, the Bernier Byrne, is going to step in to talk about the Minnesota Vikings and about the contract controversy that is J.J. McCarthy and Sam Darnold, allegedly, up there. And, of course, our good friend of Legacy Maker Sports Network, Darrell Owens, in the building to talk the Packers. You know, see, here's the thing. I've gone on record saying that this might be the most compelling offseason division-wise, right? Because the thing about the North is for so long it's been basically, you know, who can get past Aaron Rodgers, if anybody, in Green Bay, right? Then Rodgers leaves, power vacuum ensues, and of all the teams, the Lions fill the void. That's fascinating too. Of course, obviously the conference runners-up last year to the 49ers. But then a lot of rebuilding and retooling. This division has become an arms race. And honestly, folks, like the opinion I have is if you ask somebody on the street who the best, you know, an NFL fan on the street, who the best quarterback in the NFC North is there a clear answer? All right. I think the only real consensus is that it's not J.J. McCarthy. Shouts there to all the Michigan fans who listen to this. Listen, hey, I'm a Jim Harbaugh fan. I just, you know, listen, I would never levy any sort of sanctions in the event you buy somebody a hamburger. That's what I can guarantee you out there, fans. Don't worry about that. But, you know, I mean, honestly, at this point, who the best quarterback in the division is, we don't really have a clear answer to, right? Caleb Williams, is he going to step up that much? And if you still don't think so, that's perfectly okay. You know, I kind of scoff at Goff, but I don't love Jordan necessarily to feel confident to say he's a top guy. I mean, and these are both players that have improved drastically. Neither of them are bad quarterbacks by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not going there. I just like making jokes and puns off people's names. But the punchline is there is no clear head and shoulders answer like there used to be with one Aaron Charles Rodgers. And matter of fact, nowadays, I'm not even sure he's the best quarterback in his own division in the AFC East. But that's a conversation we'll have when that actually comes up. And then, you know, defensively, I don't know what to make a lot of these teams either. Yeah, okay, sure, the Bears have a good defense. I can make an argument the Lions have the best defensive front, but their pass defense hasn't been super great, right? You know, the Packers are in similar fashion. Again, not renowned for their defense. I'm sure they have a few dudes. Darrell Owens will, in fact, introduce them to us once he gets here, and that's cool. But I'm not sure, you know, what to make of that unit yet. And then, you know, to round it all out, the Vikings defense has left much to be desired as a whole for a while. Again, another example of guys that have a few, you know, studs here and there, but they're aging mightily. And, you know, do they have enough? Have they made good efforts to replace them? In my opinion, maybe not enough. I don't know. We'll see what the Baron has to say when he jumps aboard. You know, so it's all a very curious case. This division, I'm going to say, if I haven't already, is probably the toughest for me to dissect, right? I've said as much, even referencing it in articles that I've written on Jaguars on SI, bing, where I've been asked to give both my worst and best case scenarios for the Jacksonville Jaguars schedule. Trying to predict the NFC North is tough. Now, why do I mention that? In particular, the AFC South is one of the divisions with whom the NFC North does battle, along with the NFC West, right? So that means everybody's going to face the 49ers at some point, as well as the Houston Texans. So already two difficult games that we can account for the schedule early on. And who knows, maybe the schedule is close enough to where who has a first place schedule is the biggest factor. I don't think so necessarily, right? I mean, all that really does is make one team have to face the Cowboys and one team face the Eagles. And you know, without going, I'll put it this way, since I haven't had the opportunity to sound off on the NFC East since I was in Greece that week, I can make an argument whoever's playing the Eagles this year in that spot got the worst of the deal, right? So, you know, that's a whole other thing, which, by the way, I believe is the season opener for the Packers. So, you know, they got the long of that stick. Maybe things are going the right way to help out the Lions and other teams in certain ways. But enough about my conjecture. Let's talk about somebody who actually can do something. I'm being a motor mouth. Let's let this man cheer for the Motor City and talk about his Lions. Carlton Henry, what's going on, C-Hen of the Enter the Lab podcast, by the way. I want to make sure I throw your props, man. Welcome in, man. How you doing?
Man, welcome. Hey, glad to be back. Glad to be back, man. It seems like we were just here yesterday, man, but definitely happy to be back and talk about my Lions, man. What's going on?
Hey, listen, doing great stuff. I got to ask you off the bat. I know you had some Falcons fans that you were trying to make sure you did right by them on this show last week. Did you deliver? Were they happy with what you said?
I didn't have any outrageous DMs. I haven't had any threats on my life. So I feel like I did a decent job last week of representing for the Atlanta Falcons, man. So, you know, this time of year, I'm trying to be gracious. I'm trying to, you know, put out good energy, man. Hopefully it returns back to me and to my Lions. So I think I did well by the Atlanta, saying that they're definitely going to be a contender out of that NFC South. So, you know, I didn't say anything bad, man.
Well, I didn't think you did either. I thought it worked out nicely for me. I mean, sure, I was the more optimistic one saying, or actually, no, you were. You said 11 wins, I think, or did I? I said
no. You were 11. You were only 11.
Yeah,
you were only 11.
I mean, you still said 10. Whatever.
I was right there. About 9 or 10. I was right on the cusp there.
Playoffs, you know, and you didn't say it in that way like an older coach did. Playoffs, you know, you didn't do it that way, so that's fine. But listen, enough about the Falcons. Let's get into it. By the way, speaking of grace, speaking of respecting your words, sir, please note my hat is not red tonight. I am allowing you to have the floor at will about your Lions. We don't need to bring up any old stuff about conference championships. As good as that game was.
That's our motivating factor, man. That's okay. It's on the back burner. It's still there. It's still there, man. But you know what? Hey.
Yeah, go ahead.
We play each other in December, and I can't wait to see you guys in December and hopefully in the playoffs again, man. I would love to do it again.
We did talk about the West being on the schedule for the NFC North. We'll get to that in a minute, but take me here. Listen, I'm a big fan of Man Campbell. I got to ask how you feel about what's going on there in particular. Like, I didn't really feel like the Lions needed a lot of upgrades. I would like to see more pass defense. Where do you think they're at? You know, what's the favorite upgrade you feel like they've made this offseason, if any?
You know what, man? We ended up being, I think, second overall against the run last year. So basically, a lot of teams had a tremendous amount of success against us through the air. So those upgrades in the secondary were definitely needed. We were rolling out guys like Kendall Vildor, Hughes was a guy who was out there. Guys who basically weren't, top level starters. Let me start there. They weren't top level starters. Let me be respectful. They weren't top level starters. They were NFL players, but not frontline starters that you want out there as a Super Bowl, as a playoff contending or Super Bowl contending team. So when you look at some of the upgrades that we made with bringing in a Carlton Davis III, going out and get a Meek Robinson during the free agency period, drafting Ennis Rakestraw and Terrion Arnold, You bring a lot of guys with a lot of talent, with a great pedigree, guys who can, cover, guys who have good ball skills, and guys who can hopefully bring another dimension to our defense.
And I got to shout out Drew Willingham being in the building. What's going on, man? Give him his shouts he's obviously commenting in for the Sertopa YouTube channel, so I can't front on that.
What's up, Drew?
So see, here's where I struggle with the Lions. First of all, y'all aren't getting enough flack for throwing a butt ton of money at Jared Goff. Because that happened, I have to now defend the contract of one Trevor Lawrence because he helped set that market. I'm just saying.
You know what though? I mean, you know what? I'm gonna give our guy Brad Holmes a lot of praise here because he jumped on that deal early and he came out basically the cheapest. He's got a guy who's been to the Super Bowl. He's got a guy who's coming off an NFC championship. He's got a guy who's thrown for 4,600 yards. The last couple of years, definitely been near the top in terms of total yards produced. And again, when you look at that now, mid-level of quarterback, right now they're the highest paid guys, but that's like the mid-level. You look at Tua, Trevor, who else got paid? There's a Jordan Love, Goff. Those guys are kind of that high-end mid-tier, if you will. Goff kind of ends up at the bottom tier of that, and he's been probably the most productive. So I think that was a win for us in terms of being able to get him in at a very reasonable and valuable contract. When you look at Penei Sewell, he's played as well as anybody at the offensive tackles position, and we already see Tristan Wirfs trumping him, with that contract. So we made out $15-20 million lesser. You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry, got a more value, if you will, for going out and being first on him. Same thing with Amon-Ra St. Brown. So again, you can pay these guys, you draft them, you hope that they develop and become the player that they become, and you hope that you can keep them in the fold through their prominent years, man. And we've been able to do that. So it's looking up. And man, don't sleep on Goff, man. Don't sleep on Goff, man. He's as good as anybody day in and day out. I mean, besides Mahomes, but everybody else, he can give you those type days and can put you in contention for championships.
Did you just tell me not to scoff at Goff? Is that what just happened here?
Don't scoff at Goff, man. 53 is the going number. 53 is the going number, man. You know what I'm saying?
And I'm glad. See, here's the thing. This is me testing you a little bit, right? This is the Student of the Game podcast. We do some tests. You came in with the appropriate answer because if you didn't say it, I was going to allude to it and see what you thought of that. But yeah, you came right in with the economics. Listen, salary cap's going up. Dudes are going to be more expensive. You know what? I hope you got your popcorn ready here coming up when CJ Stroud's extension comes up. If he keeps up what he's doing, good Lord.
if that gets 60, I can easily see CJ Stroud coming up in a couple of years, topping $70 million.
Boy, listen. The fact that I can't immediately ask you if you have an HR department that would test you for drugs, even suggesting that number, proves how out of control this is. By the way, I'll see your economics point about Jared Goff and raise you Amon-Ra St. Brown. Brandon Ayuk around up in these streets trying to ask for 30 mil. GTFOH, baby. Come on now. I'm saying that as a Niners.
You know what though? I'm gonna shoot Ayuk a little bit of bail because he has. The pro, it can be used as a pro and a con, if you will. He has played with great talent around him. Does that allow him to do what he needs to do? Possibly. But also, that also limits his opportunities. He's not a guy out here getting 130, 140, 150 targets out here. He's still putting up, last year he put up 1,300 yards, which again, I'm not going to say he's a top 10 receiver yet because I don't think he statistically has put up that type of year and consistently been that type of guy. But he has the ascension to do that. He's an ascending talent. And with that being said, if he gets in an offense where he gets 125 to 150 targets, maybe he does turn up to become that 90 to 100 catch guy, 1,500 yards. But to your point, when you look at some of the guys like DJ Moore, he got a deal, I think about $28 million. We saw Jalen Waddle also get a new deal. I think he's kind of closer to those guys, in my opinion. But again, though, he has had some limiting factors, played in the offense that didn't throw the ball that much and has so much surrounding talent that maybe he is of that, of those other guys' ilk. We just haven't seen it yet. But I would pause a little bit at it too if I'm San Fran. I'm building something nice out there. I just drafted a couple receivers. If they can somehow come out of this trade. Now, people have mentioned Amari Cooper or George Pickens. I don't know if those are going to be guys that, come out of this deal. If they do, I think that's a big, big win for San Fran. Their window is wide open right now, and getting one of those guys does help. I think when you look at Cleveland, if they're still alive, a guy like Judy may make some sense, but a couple other guys, Cedric Tillman and David Bell, are 2 X and Z type receivers who have some veteran ability, but still are young guys and have some promise. Maybe San Fran sees some value in them. Maybe they can go in and replace Ayuk a little bit. They also have Jawan Jennings. Maybe they look at another position of strength to kind of help them. But it's going to be interesting to see how this all breaks down, man. Ayuk is kind of muscling his way around. There are a couple other teams involved. Now we're hearing that they're out of the mix. So let's see how this pans out. He may end up back in San Fran for some reason.
And I'm glad you acknowledge that that's on the table. Well, first of all, my response to you is, damn, look what you find in the depth. And B, let me make it clear. I'm not mad for him chasing his cheddar, but where I get put off, if I'm a GM, and call me old fashioned if you want to, maybe I'm screaming at the clouds, that's fine. But as a GM, I get a little put off by him prioritizing money as such. And listen, I get it. Being a dude that's got to get that coin while you have the chance to get it, while your star is rising, 100%. Do the thing. But here's where I'm at, though. The places he's going, will they have as good a quarterback or as stable a situation? I don't know. The Steelers are reassuring. I'll give you that much. Last point I'll add in too before I let you put the bow on this. San Fran's window isn't wide open because they still got to get Trent Williams right, the actual MVP of the San Francisco 49ers offense. So there you go.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think that if they make any move that possibly frees up, a couple of $1 million, they can get Trent done. Like, I mean, even the move for like getting a guy like Amari Cooper per se. He just got his deal adjusted. I think he's getting 22, 23, 24 million, kind of about the amount that they wanted to pay, maybe a little less than what they wanted to pay Ayuk. So if they can get him in for something like that, or a player of way less ilk and way less money, then we can shift that money over to Trent, get him in and hit the ground running. But with that being said, you know what? I'm not mad at Ayuk. I'm just mad at the way that he's handled it. I think the way that he's had some folks from the Washington Commanders. I like those guys a lot. I like a lot of their spaces online, so you'll find me there a lot. And a lot of folks really, really, really want Ayuk there. And I think that when you look at a guy like Adam Peters, who's been around Ayuk in San Francisco, probably did had a big hand in scouting him and seeing what type of player he is. He probably knows the value that you're getting in return and the volatility possibly that you get, in the personality. Maybe he's old school, just like you, Kyle, and somehow turned off by the antics. Yeah, you cannot be happy with your contract. You can decide to hold out like a Trent does, or you can decide to hold in like he has done, he's done. But again, though, some of the things that are going on social media, some of the pictures of him of practice from the Commanders, some of his TikToks and things being posted, or him talking to Jaden about what the team may deem as key details coming out in the media. That might not be something that they saying really really that may frown upon, if you will. And with that being said, maybe that's rubbed some other GMs the wrong way. Maybe that's why Adam Peters didn't have a real offer to offer them. Maybe had some preliminary talks, saw what kind of the parameters of the deal would be, and said, maybe I'm not interested in that, because this could be us in 2 or 3 years from now. So who knows?
Let me bring you back to Detroit for a bit. What has you most concerned for your Lions this season?
This year, I'm going to tell you, man, the only thing I'm really, really concerned about is complacency, which I think Dan Campbell has kind of touched upon. We are basically a young team. As a team, organization, and fan base, we haven't really had to deal with sustained success year in and year out. It's kind of been a flash in the pan here and there. So it's going to be interesting to see how this team goes from being one of the aspiring.
The franchise has struggled with that, right?
The franchise from top to bottom. So it's going to be interesting to see how this team goes from ascending team and Hunter to now the Hunted. You know what I mean? So team that is seen as a possible favorite in the NFC and the Hunted. So the lights are going to be on. We have way more primetime games than we ever had. So for me, complacency and then an injury bug. When we look at the quarterback position, we're one injury away. Hendon Hooker has not really, set the world on fire this camp. I know this is really his first full camp. Behind him is Nate Sudfeld. Behind Aiden Hutchinson, we don't really have a sustained, proven pass rusher. So you're talking about two guys who are very, very key to our success. If they go down, we don't really have a backup plan for them. So to me, injuries and complacency are the two biggest challenges for us. I love our roster. When you look at what the job that Brad Holmes has done over the last 4 years, he's pretty much put together one of the best rosters in the NFC, if not the NFL. And he still has guys who are starting to show promise. Guys that I don't want to call them bust, but guys who we said, may not have popped in the first 2 or 3 years from that first class. Guys like Levi Onwuzurike, who's had back injuries, who's dealt with underperformance. Now we're talking about him. DJ Reader has been on the PUP list. So now we're talking about him getting first team reps and really, really shining, showing that he can also have some position flexibility and can play that big end for us as well in our defensive line package. So we have him showing up. Ife Melifonwu last year kind of flashed, last year after being here for 2 or 3 years. He was part of that original class with Penei Sewell and Amon-Ra St. Brown. We saw him take some steps again, dealt with some injuries and some underperformance the first couple of years. Now he's taking steps. There's guys like that in every class that Brad has drafted. We have the guys who've popped like Brian Branch and Sam Laporta and Jahmyr Gibbs, but we also have some of these guys who are still developing and still coming into their own. Derek Barnes, like I said, Levi Onwuzurike, Ife Melifonwu. Some of these guys are still going to come. What's that now?
I just like hearing you say that name. So if you got to mention Levi again, you do your thing.
Well, you know what? I have to give him props because he's been a guy that I've been highlighting this whole offseason as a guy whose job is really, really on the line. We drafted a guy in the third round last year. Didn't really play for us. It's been a little bit of a project. I can't think of the last name. Brock is his first name. Sorry, having a brain freeze here. And then we also picked up Kyle Pico from Tennessee, who was a solid defensive tackle. Played with Terrell Williams, our new defensive line coach, so understands the philosophy and his coaching style. And I felt like he was really, really going to put Levi on a hot spot, on the hot seat in terms of him making the roster and becoming one part of the 53. Levi has really, really stepped his game up and has really, really flashed. Has been one of the outstanding players in this offseason in this training camp. So I got to give him props. If I talk about you and put the heat on you, then I got to give you props if you're answering the bell.
On that I shan't front, C-Hen. With that in mind, let's get to it, man. How do you think the Lions finish this year?
Man, listen, man. I like our division, but I also like what we did. It's going to be tougher. I think we're going to have one of the most exciting divisions in football. NFC North, man. Green Bay got better. Chicago, if Caleb is the truth, I mean, they got a good team over there as well, helped themselves defensively and got Caleb Williams some weapons. But when you look at us, I think we're a better football team, but our record may be a little worse off because we do have that first place schedule. But I think we're going to be 11-6. I think is a good spot for us. 11-6. I think we do win the division. I think Green Bay is probably right behind us and probably 11-6 or 10-7. And then you got it's going to be a battle. I think Chicago is going to be very interesting, somewhere between 8 or 9 wins, but right there on the cusp of a playoff spot in the NFC. And then I think, depending on when JJ, they unleash on JJ. I don't have any faith in Sam Darnold, but I think Minnesota's got a solid, unsung defensive team, great pieces offensively. And if JJ is ready to play right away and make an impact and be competent, doesn't have to be great, but be competent, I think they can win 7 to 8 games as well. But I think we're going to definitely be the class of the division once again, Kyle.
Yeah, I can't front on that too much. I mean, let me take you off the bat here. The part that does concern me, obviously, are your bonus games, right? You got the Bills, you got the Niners, you have the Cowboys. Point blank, I'm gonna put you 1 and 2 there. And I do really think there's a shot you can make me look bad with the Bills if the Bills continue to look bad. But in December last year, the way they looked, and if they're even remotely competitive, they're going to be a problem. Maybe you put them down. I don't know. But let me
Kyle, the way I'm feeling right now, if Ayuk is not on that team, we might be 3-0 out of that little break. But I got you 1 and 2 there. I got you 1 and 2.
You think Ayuk's that big a deal? Okay, and
who caught the tip pass from Kyle Vildor that changed the whole game, the whole trajectory of that game?
One game does not a season make unless, but
it made our season. God damn it, Kyle! I don't want to hear that.
Okay, listen. First of all, and I caught myself as I said it, and thank you for spiking that volleyball I set you with. In the regular season, one game does not a season make. But you're right. Listen, tip plays. Hey, you want to talk about tip plays? I'm the dude that had to interview Richard Sherman 2 weeks after that whole thing with the tip pass and Crabtree and all that. Okay, come at me with tip passes, bro. Hey, no, but seriously, like
you made that play.
The fact that you can spin that from a 3-0 to 1 and 2 is just already, in my opinion, how good this Lions team is, especially if they battle back complacency. But humor me for a minute with the 1 and 2. Here's what you'll still have. I have you 4 and 2 in the division, sweeping JJ. I think that whole thing was a joke, and the Vikings are going to regret it. I said what I said. You're playing the NFC West. If I remember correctly here, I think you're going to make Stafford very worried. And if things go wrong enough, they may be looking at Stetson Bennett sooner in the season than they'd like to. Okay. I get it. So with all
don't wish injury on my old captain.
I'm not
wishing injury on him, man.
I don't. Listen, I'm the one that calls him John Matthew Stafford on this show because he deserves 3 names. Okay. I'm not wishing for anything. By the way, you act like he's going to be hurt for long. I'm just saying Stetson Bennett may get some time. Yeah, I've seen shoulder video. Take it easy there, Lions fan. Okay, come on now.
I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying.
and then we'll take it over to the AFC South. Listen, even as a guy that covers the Jacksonville Jaguars and has an interest in them doing well, so I could cover another NFL playoff game, buddy, I have you beating them, and then going to beat the Bears for one of those 2 games I think you're going to take from them, and then taking down the Colts as well, all in that same little stretch, because by then Anthony Richardson's going to be hurt, right? So I say all that to say that's another 3-1 I think you have in the AFC South. The assumption would be that it's the Texans, but good God, the way these physics go with the AFC South, they could have it completely wrong. They do decide to have awesome games. Any one of those 4 teams have an awesome game out of nowhere. So whatever. But that being said, my air quotes worst case scenario is still 11 wins very securely for your Detroit Lions.
I can see that. I think we're about on the same page. We're about on the same page. I think that I'm not going to sleep on the NFC West. Seattle has traditionally been a tough team for us. I think the last 2 games they put up, I think 90 points combined against us. So we they've had our numbers. So it's going to be interesting to watch that game. And again, in the AFC South, Jacksonville, Tennessee, the Houston game is going to be a big game. That's going to be a game I'm going to actually go down to Houston for that game. So that's going to be a big game. And I'm sorry, who's the 4th team in there? Who am I missing?
Indy, Jacksonville, Tennessee, and
I'm sorry, Indy. I think that's going to be a tough game. If Richardson is healthy, they got a tough team, a solid defense, some solid weapons offensively. I saw that Josh Downs went down today. I don't know how that's going to play out. But with that being said, man, you wished a lot of. I'm sorry, you're projecting a lot of injury. I heard you say that Anthony Richardson is going to be hurt. Barring that, that's going to be a tough game, man. That's going to be a tough game. But again, I think I'm with you at 11-6. 10-7 is not out of the realm of possibility. It's a very, very tough schedule. And again, we have a couple of areas where if we sustain an injury, it can be tough for us.
I mean, if the worst case scenario for you is 10-8, you're looking pretty strong. I'll leave it at that. So, C-Hen.
I feel good about it.
Tell the world where you could be found, big dog.
Man, thank you for having me on, Kyle, man. Definitely another great show. You can definitely find me on Twitter at C-Hen313, at CHEN313. You can definitely follow my show, The Fellas Present Sports Rap, on Spotify. And also, you can follow me on the Enters the Lab podcast, which streams live on Twitter and the Red Zone DC Media channel on YouTube, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And again, that's on Thursday nights. I'm sorry, I didn't put the day. Thursday nights, man. So tomorrow's going to be interesting. We got some football kicking off tomorrow, so definitely tap in with us.
I like the sound of all that. Even coming in to spend some time to talk some Brandon Ayuk drama there, but I appreciate.
Man, this thing has been dragging out, man. All week we've been waiting for something to happen, man.
Well, hey, let me leave you back to it so you can let me know if there's been an update, brother. All right.
All right, Kyle. Again, thank you for having me on, man.
Carlton Henry doing the thing. I didn't mean to cut him off there. I thought he wrapped it up. But hey, another good show from him. Always a good time. But hey, well, I did have Carlton on last week. Let's switch it to somebody I haven't talked to in a long time. And I'm the one who's going to get one heck of a treat. This dude has one heck of a legacy already, and he's making more by the day. The head of Legacy Maker Sports himself, Darrell Owens. What's going on? What it do, D.O.?
Hey, Kyle. It's good to see you, man. Hope all is well. Look, excited to talk Packer football. Even though, who knows what it's going to look like this year, but I'm excited to be here, brother.
I mean, first of all, props to you from dialing in from the beach, bro. Like, yeah. You're in my home state right now, and you're showing pictures on social media, hurricanes and things, and I'm like, oh boy. But at least you are handling a hurricane like a Floridian with zero intimidation whatsoever, and I respect that.
You got to go out there. I thought, why not go do a news report and try to give the people what they want? But it was definitely a lot of fun. It was a lot wilder out there today than it was yesterday. I didn't get out there though. It was a little bit too tough for you, boy.
Hey, safety first, man. Listen, I got to have you around. So, in the outside chance that you guys don't run into the 49ers in the playoffs, I can enjoy success with you. Anyways. Easy. No, I got to talk the same smack with Carlton earlier. It was okay. I'm milking it while I got it because it won't be here forever. That's all I'm saying. But
hey, look, if it was me, I'd do the same thing.
Hey, listen. Speaking of not being there forever, the NFC North, a power vacuum when Aaron Charles Rodgers left the Packers. Now it's an arms race where the Lions appear to be dominant, but we really don't know what to expect. First off, tell me what you thought of Jordan's deal. Did you love it?
I love it for this one factor. We got the deal done now and not waiting, another year or so when we're talking probably $60 million for a quarterback because they're already talking about Dak getting $60 million. And I don't want that happening right off the bat. A lot of people will say, okay, well, he's only had 1 year of experience and, he only had this 1 year and it was kind of up and down, but I will bank on the potential of what I've seen so far. I went into last season saying to myself, okay, and I think we even talked about it on here. Last year, I was like, I'm about 75% on Jordan. Like I saw enough to give me at least 75%, and I would go throughout the year. It wasn't until probably about like after the Chiefs game where I felt like, okay, this is the guy. He's just got to fine tune some things and get a little bit more confidence. And I felt once that happened would be good. So I do love it for where we got it at right now. And it puts us in a situation where, we get him taken care of and we can worry about the other young guys here in the next couple of years because it's a very, very young football team.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. I mean, it will, and I'll take it to this too. Like Jordan Love, basically the punchline's this: has Jordan Love's presence shown that Matt LaFleur is a better coach than we ever thought?
So I'll tell you this about that. Like, I was one of those people when he first got the job. I remember going and scouting and trying to figure out who should be the Packers' next head coach. I went and looked and said, okay, what's the hot candidate right now? It was not Matt Fleur. It was McVay guys, McVay assistants, all that stuff.
McVay or somebody who at that time had lunch with McVay right. was getting an interview. That's right.
At the minimum, at least lunch with him. So, I looked at that. I saw he was in Tennessee, like he was Mariota. Didn't have a too hot of a year, but I thought that he was probably going to be the guy. I took out of a whim, got lucky, and that was the case. Now, he had Aaron Rodgers the first couple of years. And so when you have Aaron Rodgers, you kind of have to dial some things up and kind of let him let him be Aaron Rodgers. I mean, at the beginning, it was kind of a slow start. They had to kind of get things together and kind of learn each other. Once they did learn each other, things, he won 2 MVPs in the process. So obviously something was going right there. But last year was important, for me, as a person who's a Packer enthusiast. I wanted to be able to see what, he could do without Aaron Rodgers. And there were some times where it was just like, man, what are you doing? What's going on here? There was a lot of games that they lost last year on the last drive where they had a chance to either take the lead and win. It was like they left at least, I think it's 4 to 5 games last year that they left on the table that we're talking about a team that probably would be the one, maybe, well, anywhere between the 1 to the 3 seed in the NFC. And they had an opportunity at that, but they could not close out some of the game. The Broncos game couldn't close that out. Couldn't close the Raiders game out. They lost a tough one to Pittsburgh. They had a lead against the Falcons and gave that one away. They took the lead late against the Giants and then let the Giants go down the field and win the game. So there's like 5 games where they're like, okay, they made the playoffs at 9-8, and if they go and they find a way to win these games, or at least a couple, we're talking about a 13-win, 12-win team. And I thought that he did his best job as a coach.
I wouldn't enjoy it if the Giants or the fraud cons upset me either. Shouts to our friend Denny Thompson. But anyways, no, with all that in mind, I got to get that Falcon schmack in there. I'm sorry, but
you got to throw it in there a little bit.
Listen, man. No, and the other thing too. I mean, if Jordan Love makes a mistake like that, costs you a game, you can't even shout at the screen, "You done messed up, Aaron." He's not there anymore. You can't. You can't. Do that. Now I'm referencing Jordan Field and stuff. Anyways, you mentioned the youth of this team, Darrell. I'm giving me something to be excited about from this defense, because for all the talk of Love, and this receiver core and all of that's come into play. By the way, I mean, we're not talking a lot about the running back upgrade simply because I think, is anybody disappointed with it?
So I kind of was excited. So this is my thing. Like when it happened, I'm like, oh man, we about to have Aaron Jones and Josh Jacobs together. This is about to be a masterpiece. And then Aaron, they held off, and I was like, we're about to lose Aaron Jones and Dylan. We can't lose both, but we're at least able to get Dylan back. So at first I was excited because I was like, they're about to have both of them together, and I didn't see Jacobs. I didn't see Jacobs as one of the guys that we were going to target. I thought we would go get Jones, maybe grab somebody else. But I'm loving this. That he wanted to be there because he said he wanted to go behind a great offensive line. That's what he's going to get there. Green Bay does a couple of things really well. They find receivers, they find quarterbacks, and they find offensive linemen. And some of the other positions here and there. But those three are three of the ones that they've always been able to find, pieces there. So for me, I was just happy to kind of see it all kind of come together. I was very happy about that. With this defense, young man, young and talented with a sprinkle of veterans. You got Alexander in there, who at one point was considered probably one of the best cornerbacks in the league. Still, but he was probably considered at one point the best cornerback. Then that's kind of slacked off a little bit due to injuries. But he's really done some. I think he'll have a big year if he can get a healthy Eric Stokes there. You also had Kenny Clark, who they locked up right before they locked up Jordan Love. He's been our most consistent and best defensive guy in his entire tenure. So it's nice to have him locked in. He's that captain of the defense. So and finally they decided no more 3-4. Please bring on the 4-3, and that's something that had to happen years ago. We have been one of the worst run defenses in the league for years. And so hopefully, Hafley can come in and do some good things there on that defense. I'm excited to see what they can do. We got the young guy from Georgia, Javon Bullard, who I think can be a really good piece. We, for whatever reason, we love drafting Georgia players because that's been the theme, at least one the last 3 or 4 years. Stokes, Wyatt, Walker, and now, Bullard. So I'm intrigued to see what they can do. We brought in Xavier McKinney, who we were able to steal from the Giants. And so I'm very optimistic about the defense.
Yeah, sure. I can't front on that. Even I'll say this: there are elements of the division that are going to be difficult. I mean, I gonna ask the other guys about this, but I mean, the division goes through Detroit, does it not?
It does. It does. I mean, look, Detroit is set to go right now. Like they're ready to make another push and try to get to the Super Bowl. You know, the Vikings, I just no. And I don't think they're there yet. I thought they were gonna take a step back last year, and now without Kirk Cousins, they're gonna have to try to figure out things and see if Sam Darnold can at least hold things together before they get JJ McCarthy together. And then they pay Jefferson, which um, I was intrigued by. I thought that you're not gonna lock in Kirk, you go lock in Jefferson, but now you gotta if you're Jefferson, you gotta wait for you got to wait for the quarterback to develop. So, but he's happy. He's got his money. But the Bears, they're the most intriguing team in this division because you really don't know if they're going to be good or not. Because for years, they were signed players and they'll have a lineup. You'd be like, oh, okay, the Bears are going to do something, and then they just would do Bear things. So it's like, they do Bear things. I mean, you don't know what you're going to get from them, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, that's the Chicago Bears team that I know and love. And
Well, Darrell, would you call those bare necessities?
bare necessities, sir. That's the best way to put it. It's like you already know what they're going to bring. But I will say this: I'm not going to sit there and act like what they have done in the offseason is not on paper good. I mean, you bring in Swift at the running back position, so you bring in a solid running back. You bring in Keenan Allen to go out there and help bring along those young receivers, and you bring in DJ Moore, who's been one of the most underrated receivers in the league. And I know that sounds crazy for a guy who catches 92 balls a year, but you also look at the fact that he was in Carolina and multiple quarterbacks, and he goes to Chicago last year with Justin Fields, and it's still, no consistency at quarterback, and he still has performed. So you got that, and then you bring Adunze in. So now you got three guys, and that's not even about Cole Kmet, who's out there tight end. Offensively, they should be amazing. The offensive line is probably their biggest question. Has that gotten? Did they do enough to make it good enough to keep things going through the season? But yeah, they could be a problem, but we just don't know. I mean, they got the right coach, all that good stuff. So I'm intrigued about what Chicago will bring. But yeah,
Well, you and I are going to have to calmly disagree on Eberflus, but one part that's going to scare you is I'll say this much: as we do close the show tonight with a pre-record from Raphael Haynes of the 3-point conversion. You do realize you guys just agreed on something, right? I'm just going to warn you with that. I'm not going to tell you what it is. You'll have to watch the episode in horror to see what it is. But I can tell you gentlemen agreed on something. That's just I'm going to have to warn you up front.
I like Raphael. I mean, other than being a Bears fan, I still like Raphael.
Of course, no. Listen, I make these jokes with you two, and this is what we do. I've done it to your face in the Super Bowl before. I'm just going to say,
yes, you have.
Yes, you have, Couch. Anyways, listen, man, let's get down to the nitty gritty. Tell me how you think your pack is going to do this year, buddy.
This is tough to call. It really is because last year was kind of like, okay, we'll see. A lot of young talent, and we said it a little bit before here. You got young receivers that seem like they're just ready to burst through and just be studs. The offensive line lost some pieces, but I think they'll be fine. Here's the problem. A lot tougher schedule this year. A lot tougher, and I wanted to make sure that I had it because I didn't want to go through and be like fumbling through. But we got teams like you start off with Philly and you got to go to Brazil for that, so that's going to be fun. Then you got the Rams, the 49ers, the Dolphins. I believe also not Buffalo, but there's a lot of really good football teams that Green Bay has to take on this year. Houston is another one that they have to deal with this year. That young great team. So this is a big test for them because I think I said last year was going to be the year we found out that LaFleur could be a coach. This year is going to be the real test. Last year was like, okay, he can do a little something, but if he can find a way to make the playoffs with this schedule, then he'll have me a little bit more impressed. And I've always been a fan of LaFleur. I think he's the players' coach. I think the players like him, but in order for them to be, to be where he wants them to be and get to that next spot, he's going to have to go through a gauntlet this year. I mean, it's not going to be an easy year. This might be the first time I'm like, I really don't know how this one's going to go. I felt that last year, but this one's tough. Um, if I had to say, because I still think
Well,
people are
yes,
gonna.
you do. That's the question.
I know. I'm gonna say 10-7, and you can say that's a safe pick. I think at the minimum, if things go haywire, it could be 6-11. That's just how on paper how tough that schedule looks. And they've got a really tough one to see. Philly, Indianapolis, Tennessee is, we don't know exactly what Tennessee is going to be yet, but for some reason, I got a feeling they're going to be good. Minnesota, you can throw them out the window. The Rams, even though Green Bay beat them last year, there was no Matt Stafford in that game, and Matt's always played Green Bay tough no matter what. Arizona got Kyler back, so like what that is. Then they got Houston. It's just I looked at this and I was just baffled. You still got Detroit twice. You got San Francisco. We don't know what Chicago would be. They could be really good. Seattle is another team that's going to fight for a playoff spot. They've been doing that the last couple of years. They made it 2 years ago. New Orleans might be one of the easier games that they have. But for me, I'm going to say 10-7. I think at the height, I mean, they're really all about the business. I'll say 13-4, but I got 10-7 because I think there's going to be some battles in there, still some growing pains for Jordan Love, because people have seen tape on him now. They're going to be able to say, okay, we can see this on him. So that's why this year, after being paid and all that stuff, this is going to be the year to truly tell, in my opinion, if he's ready to be that superstar.
Dio, I got to tell you, this division being kooky dukes makes it extra easy to predict it. Like, are the Packers going to handle business and sweep the Vikings, or are they going to Packer and actually split with them when they shouldn't? I'm betting that they're going to Packer simply because of the fact that Jordan Love looked like Brett Favre at the end of that playoff game. Hashtag.
Okay.
Too soon?
Oh, come on, man. Look. Why you had to do that, man? Look, I've had enough San Francisco woes. I don't need you to keep bringing up this. I'm already wearing, burgundy or some type of red. You got on green today, so I guess fair is fair. But I mean, come on.
I don't really own yellow, so I couldn't take it there. But I do have white. Just pretend it's the G that just took over the entire helmet.
Yeah.
I do have you splitting the NFC North. I have you splitting in the NFC West as well. Listen, you're not beating the Niners if they're up to stuff. Sorry.
Not at all. Not ready yet.
You make points about the Rams, but you also mentioned the Seahawks. You have no idea how that game's going to go. I hope that's the shootout that it could be between those two teams, but maybe Seattle is trending low like I think, and you beat them. That's fine. You got at least 2-2 out of the NFC West. In my mind, the AFC South's really tough for me for one reason alone. You play the Colts early enough to where Anthony Richardson may still be healthy. That could be a problem.
Could be.
That could be a problem for y'all. So with that in mind, I see 2-2 overall in that division, which puts you already at 7 wins. And then you're asking me Saints, Finns, Eagles. You expect me to tell you you're going 3-0 with that group to get to 10 wins? Sir, I can't do it. That game 1 is going to be fascinating. You know what? Because it's in Brazil and you guys are coached better, I'll give you that one. I'll put you at 2-1. You reminded me in Brazil, kind of put my brain there. A shootout between Jordan Love and Tua Tagovailoa is going to be popcorn worthy-ish. I just don't see you winning it. That being said, you do have a slightly better defense. Maybe that'll be the difference. I don't know. But you're going to beat the Saints. That's fine. So that'll putting you guys at 9-8. And in NFC, that's a playoff schedule, baby.
It is. It really is. And that's what I like. And I cheated on the 9-8 because I feel like they're going to – that's why I was like 10-7 because I feel like they sneak one they were not supposed to. But 9-8 feels more comfortable. I know they were 9-8 last year, but I still think the schedule and how tough it is.
9-8 on a harder schedule is still an improvement. That's what you need to find your Packer fan friends there, man.
I agree. But I think that this will be another tough year to kind of it'll be some growing pains. But I think like guys like Dontavian Wicks, who's out of Virginia, and I've seen him play for years now. And when we cover Virginia, so just seeing him grow, and a lot of I've heard small whispers, or he's got like Devontae Adams tendencies. The guy can route run his butt off. I still, before I give him Devontae Adams, I want to see some more from him. But does he have the possibility to be a really good route runner, a really good receiver? Yes, he does. Jaden Reed shocked the world last year, or at least shocked a lot of the NFC and the AFC and the NFL in general, just with his play last year. So it's, to me, like, who on that team is ready to take that next step? Will the defense actually show up and be as good as they could be, or are they just gonna do the same old? And we can't afford that, especially if you want to take that next step. I'm already hearing people say, "Oh, the Packers are a Super Bowl pick." Stop saying that. We're still young. Could they do it? Yeah, but I don't. That's optimism. I'm not gonna do that to myself. We're not there just yet, but I think they're on the right path.
Please remember, we're only 2 years removed from Peter King trying to tell us a Derek Carr-led Saints team was going to go 13-4 and go to the Super Bowl. So
I said that last year. I didn't say 13-4. I had them going 11, and I think I had them 11-6. And I, for whatever weird reason, I was like, I think the Saints are going to do well. Boy, I don't know why I said that. I couldn't even tell you who I would pick this year. I had no clue where I'm going with it this year yet.
I mean, be honest with yourself, Darrell. So you and this whole nice guy thing, it's getting to be a problem. Okay, you thought it because the NFC South is hot dog water. That's why you thought it.
Oh, it's trash.
Okay, so then why you gotta hide?
Well, so I'll be honest with you. I'll be honest with you. Part of it was like, I said, okay, they got the best, quarterback in the division, because Baker was kind of like, and I felt like, oh, he's gonna go on the Derek Carr revenge tour. You know what I'm saying? He's gonna go out here and let him have the business, and it wasn't the case. But I don't even think he's the total problem there. Dennis Allen is a miserable head coach. Why he got a second chance, I do not understand. He didn't do well the first time with the Raiders. He's not doing well this time. I'll be surprised if he makes it throughout, past this year. If he does, then somebody's drinking some of that water on Bourbon Street, because there's no reason why he should probably make it past this season. That's why I felt it, man. I really had high hopes because of that. But yeah, not this year. I think Carolina finishes better than them this year, but that's just me.
Woo! Yeah. Wow. Listen, I can tell you're at the beach because you're warm with that hot take. Goodness.
I do.
Oh my God.
I think they'll be better.
I got worse news for you. That means you agree with Raphael Hayne on something else, that the Carolina Panthers are going to improve.
I think they're going to improve. Look, their coach, the coach they brought in, has done really good wonders with quarterbacks over the last couple of years. Now, I'm not going to say they're going to go out here and make the playoffs, but I think they'll be a lot more competitive than they were last year. And the Saints seem like they're on the down end. Kamara's been hurt on and off. He's still, I don't know if he's still dealing with the legal troubles and stuff, because you kind of just stopped hearing about the Vegas thing. Right. But it's just like he's, I hate to say, on the tail end of his career, but it's getting close. So it's just like, what else do they have? That Michael Thomas is a free agent. No one even attempted to sign Michael Thomas. So it's just like, this Saints team is, I think next year will be drafting, Shedeur Sanders or somebody like that next year. they'll be in that top 5 next year.
An opportunity for more black and gold. That's kind of fascinating from that front. I just listen. Everybody keeps referencing Carolina getting a good coach, and I get that. But listen, if you give Gordon Ramsay hot dog water and dog poo, he's not going to make you a souffle. That's all.
He'll figure it out, man. He'll figure it out. I mean, we're talking about Gordon Ramsay here. He'll put like some parsley flakes or something in there and make it,
Listen, all I'm trying to tell you is you put parsley flakes in your souffle. That's some whack stuff right there. Come on, you're a fellow big man.
I'm just trying to figure it out, man. He'll throw something in there. Cinnamon, I don't know.
Goodness gracious. I hope you never make a joke at my expense about raisins and potato salad, because now I have parsley flakes and souffle over you. Okay? That's all. That's right. Kyle made he's a white guy joke. It's all right.
Hilarious. That's hilarious. Kyle, you mess.
Listen, I always ask you what it do because you're Darrell Owens and you're DO. So tell the world, man, where you could be found. Tell me how you're doing. You're doing things with Bowie TV. You're doing things with Legacy Maker, man. Tell me what you're up to.
Man, running, man. I'm on vacation this week, so I'm not going to the Jets. Commanders Jets preseason game, but I will be in Miami next week for the Miami and Commanders preseason. So just getting things started with that. College football is starting up, and then so Legacy will be on full strength, in the Virginia area, trying to get things rolling there, trying to sprinkle a little bit into the North Carolina area as well. So we're ready. I call it the busy season. The busy season technically started 2 weeks ago. I know I'm on vacation, but it's in my mind it started about 2 weeks ago. So once I get back from here, it'll be nonstop until at least April at the minimum, maybe even up to June, depending on how things go. So, I took the time to kind of rest and get ready for it.
Because you got stuff with the Wizards up there too. That's right.
Yeah.
On that, I shan't front, good friend. And listen, let me add this too. For your sake, I hope the ACC lasts as long as it can. But I'm just saying.
Yeah, I think we got at least 2 years because they've kind of got Clemson, and they have Clemson and Florida State kind of locked into the 25-26 season. They can't do anything with it just yet. Here's the other problem for Clemson and then Florida State. Nobody else wants them. Like Big 12, like maybe. The Big Ten said, no, we good. The SEC is saying the same thing. So nobody really wants them unless another team is doing so bad. And they better hope that I saw something online, I don't know how true it is, but they better hope that Georgia Tech doesn't decide to go back to the SEC since they're a charter member and they can just go back in whenever they want it. So whenever they get freedom. So I think the ACC will be at least good for the next couple of years. I still think they're going to add maybe 1 or 2 teams. They may try to get the rest of those Pac-12 teams. There's only 2 left. They might go and try to grab them so that way California and Stanford doesn't have to run all the time to the East Coast. So, I mean, I know they're trying to do it now where they only have to make 3 trips to the East Coast during the season. So that'll be interesting as well.
I don't know, man. I'm just going to go back to I said what I said. And I'll put it this way. If you want to act like nobody wants Clemson, I'm with you. If you're going and play, and by the way, this is as a Seminole critic. I think you're underestimating what Coach Norvell has done with that program and what
I love what he's done. It's not that. It's not. I'm just going. Like I said, this based on reports. Like I said, they're saying that nobody wants him right now. And I said at least 2 more years. We got him till 2026. So after that, it could be a free for all. I mean, who knows what it'll look like after the 2026? But the other teams don't seem like they're trying to run away right now, so that's a good deal. But those 2 are making such a fuss. And at the ACC Media Day, like a week last week, it was some tension in the room. Like the commissioner was just straight up like, "Hey, look, we're not playing around." Like the Florida State team was like going up next, and they were like, "We're not playing around. That we're gonna honor our contracts." Like they don't care what Florida said. They're gonna make them stay in this contract till 2035. They mean it. They mean it. You will stay in this contract.
You need them that desperately. That's why the ACC's in big trouble. I said what I said.
Hopefully they figure it out. We'll be good at basketball though.
For facts. And listen, you could look more at that. I got locked on Big 12's Drake C. Toll on here that'll air tomorrow. I recorded him earlier today, so make sure you check that out for some of the college conspiracy theories. But Darrell, thanks for jumping in, man. We'll catch you next time, brother.
Hey, man, it's been a pleasure, bro. Always good to catch up with you, Cal.
Be cool, man. Hey, enjoy the rest of your vacation, brother. So Darrell Owens of Legacy Maker Smokes and Bowie TV. I should have told him to give a hug to my friend Candy Waller for me. Anyway, Seawall, much love to you out there too. But speaking of dudes that need much love, Batman's utility belt ain't got a damn thing on this next man. I think we're on the 8th team I've made this poor guy step in for, but let's not act like he doesn't love talking ball at all times. And hey, listen, eventually here he'll get to talk about his team on this show. Mikey the Bernier, ready to do the thing. Don't take your shoes off yet, for Christ's sake. He's counting the teams, folks.
I've lost count.
So I'm seeing your name. Don't throw these Vikings out the window just yet. All right, sir. Convince me to close my window because they're in my hand, because they have been the frauds of the North in the NFL for the past few seasons. I said what I said. See, the frauds of the South will be the fraud cons, right? Keep with me here.
Are we forgetting that the Chicago Bears were in this division because they were pretty fraudulent for a while?
No, they weren't frauds. They were just straight up bad. They just
okay. Their owner was just a fraud. Okay, makes sense.
You got it. Like at least the Vikings allegedly had 13 wins, only to get beat by the Giants. I mean, I'm just glad there wasn't a Giants fan around for us to listen to gloat about it and imply somebody was a coach of the year when they weren't. Anyways,
wild. What a wild time we would have lived in.
But yes,
before the Vikings. Obviously, someone did not listen to my take on the Carolina Panthers and disrespecting hot dog water because souffle and poop and hot dog water. Yeah, that's the Carolina Panthers. We talked about them last week.
I had not had a chance to grace that yet, sir. No, I have. Listen, I'm trying to cover 2 football teams between writing for Jaguars for SI, bing, as well as the Black and Gold Banneret, bing, and the Night Shift Podcast, bing, along with the Duval Dive, bing. I'm doing things, Mikey Byrne.
He's got a lot of dings today, boys and girls.
Give
that man his bell. So here's the deal with the Minnesota Vikings, and you told me to sell you on it, and it's
keep the window closed from me throwing them out of it, sir.
Okay, yeah. and here's where I look at it, and this will be a very interesting starting point. And
if it is JJ McCarthy, I'm kicking you out the shot.
Aaron Jones.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
That's the starting point.
Petty. It starts with Petty. You have my attention.
Yeah. The way I look at this team is obviously, the firepower that they have at wide receiver and Jay Jettas and Jordan Addison, if he's not doing something that may get him 3 to 6 and 800 hours of community service, but I'm not a judge, so I don't know. Eventually they're going to get TJ Hawkinson back from the physically unable to perform list. I saw something that he is progressing ahead of schedule on the ACL recovery, so that's a plus there. But this team is going to have to simplify this offense. And it's going to be hand the ball off to Aaron Jones, hand the ball off to Ty Chandler, get the ball into playmakers' hands quickly. That is something that I think Sam Darnold can do for the first 5 weeks of the season. And I say the first 5 weeks of the season because their bye week is week 6. And I believe coming out of the bye in week 7 is when you see the JJ McCarthy era start as quarterback of the Minnesota Vikings.
Oh, wow.
And I say that because if you look at the gambit of the first 5 weeks, Giants, Niners, Texans, Packers, Jets.
You don't mean the gambit. That's the dude playing by Jane.
Yeah, that one.
Gambit.
Yeah, that one. Whatever. It's late. It's late in time.
Any excuse to make a Deadpool reference on this show is a good one. Continue.
And I mean, that's if Sam Darnold gets to that part of the season healthy. I mean, let's not think that Sam Darnold is made of steel. I mean, the guy has been Glass Jaw Joe for countless years.
The dude even got mono, for crap's sake. I mean,
but I will look at it from this perspective. It's life after Kirk Coupins. The pick that they made in McCarthy, I think, is the pick that they wanted from the very beginning. I don't hate the draft pick. The question is Sam Darnold being brought in and then saying he's going to be the starter. Let me tell you guys real quick. Ryan Tannehill was out there, and I think Ryan Tannehill would be a better option to teach JJ McCarthy for the first couple weeks of the season before turning the job over to somebody else. Personally.
I think it's not a fit in the offense. I'll put it that way.
I mean, I could see it from that perspective. And again, not the biggest Minnesota Viking homer.
If one, let me know. I know one. He's not available to go on this show. I'll put it that way.
Okay, makes sense. But looking at this roster, again, I think it's the Aaron Jones effect. It's bringing him in because last year they thought Alexander Madison was the guy. He wasn't. They gave Cam Akers a shot. He blew out his Achilles. Ty Chandler, and when they got Cam Akers, he was actually running pretty effectively prior to the Achilles going out. Ty Chandler finished out the year, was good. I mean, I'm not going to say he was blowing the world up. Last year, he had 102 carries for about 460 yards and 3 touchdowns. I mean, nothing to write home about. But they added some pieces. Myles Gaskins there as well. But I think you think about this offense, it's Justin Jefferson. It has to be Justin Jefferson. It has to be Jordan Addison. I don't think that this Minnesota Viking team is built for that to be the thing right away. This might be a year where Jettas has a little bit more of a down year from a quote fantasy perspective. He's still going to get his. Let's not be stupid or dumbfounded here. Justin Jefferson is going to be a explosive playmaker for this team.
Still an 1,100-yard receiver, I think.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. Yeah. They added Trent Sherfield, drafted another tight end that they seem to like in camp. The question that I have here, though, is did they do enough on the defensive side of the football to stop the Detroit Lions and the Green Bay Packers offense? Short answer, probably not. Did they do enough to progress in life after Kirk Cousins? I don't think this is going to be a steep of a fall from where they were last year. I think it is going to be a fall. Let me be very transparent about that. But I don't think the bottom per se drops all the way out here. I don't think this is a 4-win team looking at their schedule. There's going to be room for improvement, obviously. The big thing here, linebacker Dallas Turner from Alabama, one of their picks. I'm excited to see what he does. I'm excited to see Dallas Gatt, the linebacker from Toledo. Everybody thought he was good coming out. Got him. There's pieces here on the defensive side that I'm excited about. But it's obviously led by Byron Murphy. It's led by Harrison Smith in the secondary. But this is a team where if things aren't going well at the trade deadline, I could see them move on from a couple of these older corners. They got Shaquille Griffin, your boy over from UCF. He's there right now.
Well, I thought he signed something with the Eagles too. That's all over the place. Yeah. Who knows, man? I mean, that could change by the end of this recording. So I'm not saying it.
You're not wrong.
Yeah. So, I mean, let's put it this way. Shaquille is on literally the last legs of his career. I'm kind of,
I would agree,
finding a spot. So, and that's no disrespect. He's just dealt with so much injury.
Correct.
So, but I don't know, man.
I mean, let's be very open and honest here. This team is not going to be the 13-4, Minneapolis Miracle with Stephon Diggs and all of that. It's not going to happen. Is this team going to be able to stay competitive in some games and maybe give teams like Detroit and Green Bay runs for their money at points, but inevitably then lose to them? Yeah, I don't think that this Minnesota team is as big of a cakewalk as people are expecting them to be. I think that this team has some fight in it. I think it's got, some toughness that it kind of lacked last year, going and getting Aaron Jones again. He's just that running back where he's not afraid to find that gap and meet somebody in the middle of the C gap and just keep his head down. They tried to get flashy with Madison. They tried to get flashy with Akers. It just didn't work for what they were trying to do. And I think that was because of the Kirk Cousins injury. They kind of just we're just going to try to run the ball 8,000 times and try to get out of here and not make too many mistakes and let teams blow us out.
Well, I mean, that's something I feel like O'Connell's going to do. And if defenses don't see it, they should lose their jobs, because I could see it here already here from my chair as the student of the game, right? They're going to rely on Jones to set the tone. They're going to give opportunities for a good matchups and to hope for a bomb opportunity to Jefferson, or they're going to continue to run the ball and control the ball and the clock. If teams refuse to respect the box in the middle. Should Aaron Jones actually face getting dinged up at all or get reduced by injury, this team is cooked. And in the NFL, that happens within the first couple of weeks. So, especially, I'll put it this way. Let's pretend they even make the Niner game close. They're still getting blown out of the Texans because of playing the Niners the previous week. What a freaking gamut those two teams are back to back. That's just absolutely nuts.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, their best shot to win in the first 5 weeks is week 1 at the Giants.
But are you prepared to guarantee it? Because I'm not.
Oh, guaranteed no. But we just talked about the New York Giants on the Huddle Up sit-in on the Student of the Game report a couple weeks ago, where I was the Washington Commodores. Red Tails.
Oh, you did represent the Red Tails. That's right.
I did. And here's the thing. We talked about how bad that Giants offense is going to be. So maybe this is something where in Vegas, if you're listening, you better set that over under at about 7, because we'll be lucky if either one of these teams find the end zone in that game is what it looks like because of how bad both of these offenses are going to be.
You using the number 7 and going to a touchdown. That's a good tight end. By the way, something else working against you in the schedule, week 5, you're playing the Jets. I think Aaron's still healthy at that point, assuming he gets past week 1.
That game, is that game in London?
It's
Germany.
Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Yeah, it is in London.
Yeah, I saw the 9:30 kickoff and I was like, wait, hold on. This team has 3 primetime games.
Oh, listen, the Jets have prime time all over the bleeding place.
Well, no, I was talking about the Vikings have 3 prime time games.
I'm telling you, the reason why the Vikings have prime time games is because they're playing against teams that are getting more love than usual. The Jets among them, the Lions are the other one, and the third one.
They don't play the Lions on a Thursday or a Monday night. They play
the Rams is what
the Rams. They play the Rams in week 8, and they play the Chicago Bears at home week 15 on Monday Night Football. And that is solely because you want Caleb Williams versus JJ McCarthy, because even they know Sam Darnold won't be the starting quarterback by then.
I don't think you want that at all, actually. But
I mean, we don't want that.
I don't even think our favorite Michigan fan, Big Jim Neese of the Huddle Up Inc. CEO there, wants that to happen. Anyways, shouts to Big Jim. Also, check out me and him doing Battle in the In or Out Sports Debate with Drew Willingham on Sertoba Media. Anyways, oh yeah, Bing.
Bing.
Tell me what you think they're doing, my man.
Just trying to get through the season without dying, I think is the goal here. I mean, it's pretty bleak. It's gonna get ugly at points, I think. But I think the breath of fresh air. Oh my God. Hold on, before I get there. That Monday night game against Chicago is part of a doubleheader. Do you know what the other doubleheader game is that night?
I don't.
Our boy Perk Thuggins, now going from Minnesota to Atlanta, going to Las Vegas to play Gardner Minshew or Aiden O'Connell.
God, why? Michael Penix wins in a dominant fashion.
Four quarterbacks. You have potentially 3 rookies and Uncle Rico. It's so bad.
Tell me how you think the Vikings are doing. I need to get past this right now.
Sorry, that one just made me want to throw up in my mouth.
This show just hit a lull because of you. What are you, EJ Christian?
No, at least I have funny jokes. He doesn't.
Oh no. Anyway,
I'll say the absolute best case scenario for this team is 6 wins. My realistic prediction is probably in the 5 range, 4 to 5-ish. I see them being able to potentially beat the Indianapolis Colts if AR-15 is not healthy in week 9. Playing the mayonnaise messiah Will Levis in week 11. I think that one is a game that they could take, depending on what Seattle looks like in week 16. That's a game that they could take. And like I said, I think they're going to be scrappy in the division. I don't expect them to, by any means take certain games. I think they split with Chicago. I think they give Green Bay and Detroit runs for their money. They could very well steal a game in that scenario. If Detroit's not playing for anything in week 18, that could be a game that they could steal against Hendon Hooker and the backups there. So I don't think this team is the flatline bottom. But I think they know that this is going to be the start of a couple years where they're going to probably sit around that 6 to 8 win mark and try to rebuild this thing without blowing it all the way up.
Yeah. I have 2 and 4 as well in the division there for the North. I have 1-3 against the NFC West. I feel like they steal one from the Cards there. And
that was the other 50-50 game that I went back and forth on.
Yeah, I have 1-3 as well for the AFC South. Because I think Richardson will be healthy in week 9. I'm then betting against the mayonnaise messiah, apparently, Although by then, chances are he'll have DeAndre Hopkins. We'll see what state he's in by then. And then the Jets, the Fraud Cons, or the Giants. You're beating one of them, and it's probably the Fraud Cons or the Giants, giving me a 5th win for the Minnesota Vikings. So once again, you're doing your EJ impression, either that or your Miss Cleo reading my mind. We are of one mind, thinking alike like great minds do here. So with that in mind, let's move past this dumpster fire and tell the world where you, Mikey Byrne, can be found.
You can follow me on Twitter at They Call Me Burn. You can listen to me periodically hang out with that guy over on the Huddle Up show.
It's backwards. There you go. For those who saw the video, you'll know what we mean. Yeah,
I went that way first. Yeah, so you can listen to me debate with those guys. We have one more in the can that's going out Tuesday. You were not there.
Yeah, for the quarterbacks, right? I was recording Raphael Haynes give his bonus episode as he was reporting from Falcons camp directly, so that was cool.
We did the quarterbacks. That one's out. The one we're doing next, I think, was the
Jalen Hurts, the number 3 quarterback in the NFL. What the hell is Jim doing? Anyways,
more on that later.
Yeah,
so you can listen to me talk about quarterbacks on that. You can listen to myself and Ryan are bringing back the FKC Fantasy Hour. The two of us are taking the show to new heights. Look out for that. We're going to be starting up.
Easy to do without Craig. By the way, tell Ryan eat some crinkle fries. Damn it. Anyway,
we'll do. We're going to bring that back. We actually decided that we're starting a dynasty league. Our draft is the 18th of August, so we'll probably get something up for next week as we talk about the rules and everything of that. But otherwise, guys, Kyle, I always appreciate you letting me come on here and ramble on about my 37th team. I think next week, if you need me to talk about either Coastal Carolina or the Troy Trojans or something like that, I think I might be available for that one.
Let me be clear about something, sir. You have not covered as many teams, football teams, as EJ Christian is a fan of. So don't try that in this house. I know better.
I'm available to talk Ottawa Red Blacks or whatever they go by in the CFL now.
First of all, sir, you need to not throw your shade at the Red Blacks because UCF alumni Sam Jackson is on that roster as an offensive lineman. So you watch yourself, sir.
Oh no, that wasn't me throwing shade. I actually could cover the Ottawa Red Blacks if need be.
No, I really do watch it. It's awesome. Okay, well there you go. Tell me if you see Sam Jack get some playing time, man. I can't. I'm too thin already. I can't check that out right now. Anyways, Mikey Byrne, thanks for jumping aboard, my friend.
No problem, bud.
Mikey Byrne tearing it up on fire once again. With all that in mind, it's time to wrap up the division with the mystery of them all, the Chicago Bears, courtesy of my dude of the 3-point conversion, Raphael Haynes. And it's not often I get the opportunity to do this, but basically, I'm going to say 2 weeks in a row, the man himself, the CEO, the founder of the 3-point conversion with us. I call him Contra. He may not bring controversy all the time, but he's always Raphael Haynes, not only taking care of business there at Atlanta Falcons camp, also follows the Bears pretty closely. He's been on this show to preview them. And listen, Raph, first of all, thanks for coming in, man.
No problem, man. Thanks for having me on. Did you miss me?
You gotta say the damn line. But no, listen, hey, man. Go ahead. Sorry.
Hey, man, I heard Stephen A, man, trying to steal my stuff, man. He said it last week. He said it before, like last year. People hit me up. Stephen A said, "Did you miss me?" I'm like, "Oh God."
No. See, this has been in this house for years,
right?
We'll do all that, man. Listen, but let's get into it, man. Because I'll tell you this, and I am not anti Caleb Williams. I want the record to show that. I know I'm on record a lot of places saying that my Pac-12 quarterback last year was Michael Penix. We talked about Michael Penix looking like a pro with potential. But and listen, I'm even on record saying that the Bears probably should reboot to execute what it is to try to get Eberflus out the door, get a new, better coach in. I thought the Bears should have been in the Harbaugh sweepstakes. That didn't transpire. Yet, nonetheless, the Bears did everything else I think someone can hope to do. Of course, that all starts with Caleb Williams. First of all, tell me if you're excited about what he's bringing to the franchise.
Definitely. Yeah. I was a Justin Fields guy. It's kind of hard.
We were Justin Fields guys, right?
Right. Yeah. And it's kind of hard when you saw the potential, and the problem was, of course, he wasn't dealt a fair hand.
No.
Which makes sense. I mean, it's messed up. It's how it rolls. But the fact that you saw him progress and he got better, especially last year at the end of the season, you just start to see it. You wish he was there, which he was able to play with a roster like this. You really do. But Caleb Williams is that guy. I knew Caleb Williams was that guy in college. So it was one of those things where, no, I want to keep my guy. But now that he's gone, okay, we're getting Caleb. And I love Caleb. I love what he brings. I love his leadership. I think that gets overlooked by a lot. His leadership. He's going to be a rookie. He's going to make mistakes, but this is not a sprint. This is a race. So, or marathon, however you want to put it. But just for the simple fact that he's going to be here for some years, and he'll have a receiver we just signed. And I say we because I'm a Bears fan, y'all. So I'm not doing it. This is not coming from, I'm a journalist. No, I'm a Bears fan. So I'm talking as a Bears fan. So we just signed DJ Moore, and we got Roma Duzé, of course. And I believe we're going to sign Keenan Allen. So but this rookie to come in and have those weapons, and even in training camp, and you'll see, I got to watch Hard Knocks tonight. I forgot. I'm supposed to leave. But anyway, you'll see the throws, and you'll continue to see the throws he will make through this docuseries. But not only that, throughout the season and preseason, you'll see, but his skill set is unmatched. I mean, people might say, it's too much to compare him to Patrick Mahomes. Not necessarily comparing him to a Patrick Mahomes, but he can do Patrick Mahomes type stuff as far as his skill set. Now, as far as is he smart as Mahomes or not, we'll see. But his ability is probably the only other quarterback besides a Patrick Mahomes that I can say, okay, I'll put him in this category with another quarterback. And a lot of people don't like him. A lot of people don't like this, whatever. But I'm just saying his ability is maybe a Josh Allen with the arm strength. Can make any and every throw at any and every angle. So he has the talent. And so it's been a long time since we've had talent like this, but then have weapons to go along with this talent. That's what I'm most excited about as far as Caleb Williams.
Yeah, I think a comp that I kind of like is kind of a Tony Romo type, somebody who's just very improvisational. When the stuff goes down, when it hits the fan, the play's not over. He could still make something happen. Something that Tony Romo, I think, was completely underappreciated for having done. Like, this is the kind of guy who may not be the best quarterback in the NFL, but with proper weapons can get in a shootout with a Peyton Manning, and lose the game only because the defense lets him down. Why do I get that specific? That's the kind of thing that happened to Tony Romo, right? So no, that's kind of what I see with Caleb Williams. And I know that people cite a lot of things, about his personality. He's like, oh, he paints his nails and he has the pink phone case. Dude, whatever. Who cares? Oh, he cried on the sideline. Oh my gosh. Player that actually cares about football. We can't have that.
Right. Now, my thing is, when crying, like you said, there's two sides of it. First side is he's passionate. It just shows he wants to win. But at the same time, it's kind of like, hey, Caleb, you can't. I was saying that then you can't do that, dog. You gotta wait till you get in the locker room or something. But it is what it is. But I'm just saying, it's nothing. He didn't violate a rule, but that's just what we think. Football fans, macho. But like you said, he's passionate.
If that sort of thing happens after somebody loses a playoff game, a Super Bowl, what have you, I think it's more acceptable. And from the perspective of the pack. Of the program that year, because they were underperforming so much, because Lincoln Riley refuses to bring in proper defense to support his team. # I said it. He knew from that standpoint the Heisman was probably off the table. He knew that USC in the college football playoff was off the table. And yeah, there was a lot of pressure on that game, and he understood it. And the real problem is, in my opinion, I don't think he was the issue for the Trojans. And, but listen, for all the weapons we talk about, let's not forget Jonathan Swift also or DeAndre Swift rather, being added to the Jonathan Swift. I'm like, I don't even know where I got that from. But anyways, this dude was added to the roster, DeAndre Swift. So yeah, the revamp is insane. And listen, I think the Bears are probably the second most confusing team. And I think the Colts are the most confusing simply because of all the injury risk out there. We'll certainly talk to C. Lou about that in the coming weeks when we preview the AFC South. Bing! So look out all that. But how confident are you? I've seen it go all over the place, man. Like with this rebuild, the defense is still good enough. I mean, before I'll it's kind of a teeny spoiler of it without giving me a record prediction. Is playoff competition in an NFC conference, which is seen as weaker, out of the question?
No, it's not. I don't think so. I don't think so. And it hinges on, honestly, Caleb. I mean, we'll see. We've seen it with rookie quarterbacks. We saw it last year with CJ. We saw it with Russell Wilson. We saw it with Andrew Luck. We saw it with RG3. Marino did it. It's some quarterbacks as rookies that have taken their team to the playoffs. You got to have the right supporting cast. They have to be abnormal. And it can happen. And he has all the skill set to do it. He has the team, definitely. And when you brought up rebuild, I don't know if you remember, I said this 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Or last year you had me on, but maybe two. Either or I told you.
Both I had you on for what it's worth. Yeah.
So I told you 2 years, and I've said this. The first year, I think you asked me what you look like. I said, honestly, I just want to see progression with Justin. Why?
I do.
I said, because we're building. It's a rebuild. Poles came out when he first took over, told the fan base, be patient. And what he do? He gutted the team. And everybody's like, oh my God, what is he doing? He got rid of Max contract. He got rid of Roquan. He got rid of a lot of veterans. And then all of a sudden, we're this horrible team. The team looks horrible. But I knew what he was doing, because for him to do that, it was like, wow, the next year have the most money, highest salary cap. Then we make the trade. We get a great wide receiver. Then we still get a number one pick. Last year, we had a number one pick. Then we get another number one pick, and we still have money in that salary cap. And now you look at our team. Last year, you saw a team, you start to see it coming with DJ Moore. But not only that, the defense. I think defense is where we spent most of the money last year, and it looked good. We got this young tackle, and he looks good. Now, what he's done this offseason, the pieces are now he's put the pieces to the puzzle together.
Mm-hmm.
And he still has more money. My whole point is, I've said this, I think 2 years ago, in the NFL, you don't see it, you don't use the word rebuild. You don't hear that a lot. Not in the NFL. You hear it in basketball, you hear it in baseball. Baseball, dumpster sale, fire sale, we're gonna start over. Football, they're just not good anymore. Mm-hmm. But you don't see teams, GM necessarily say, all right, we're getting rid of this guy, all your good guys, and we're starting over. No, he might get rid of them and then bring other players in. He gutted the team and started over, but he had a plan. It was very weird, to your average or even your best football fan. But again, he did it, and now you look how the team is coming up. We're young again. It's just a beautiful thing. Like Pose, he should definitely get. If we make the playoffs, he should definitely get GM Executive of the Year. Easy. I thought he should have got it last year, but he should definitely get it this year. What he's done and how he's built the team, I'm just happy, man. I'm very happy. So I know we're gonna get predictions, but like I said, playoff, it's not out of the question. We don't know, but it's definitely not out of question with this type of team. And of course, it takes a special talent, young talent, to get us there. And we've seen it in the past before, so can't wait.
Yeah, no, I no question there at all. And Raph, I'll say this too. Let me pose the question this way too. I know that the NFC North is has been in a bit of a power vacuum ever since the departure of one Aaron Charles Rodgers. I know, absolutely your favorite player, he said sarcastically. But in your mind, does the division go through the Detroit Lions this year?
Yes,
which still
it does.
feels odd to say.
Hard to say, but it does. Look, I've always been a fan of Dan Campbell. I was a fan of Dan Campbell when he was in Miami. I thought they should have gave him a coaching job then when he took over as an interim coach. I don't know if you remember that. But
I absolutely do.
Yeah, I thought he should have. I was like, they should give him the job because sometimes
here in South Florida, definitely
right. And sometimes, like I said, you got old school coaches. Even though Tomlin is listening, Mike Tomlin is listening with the headset. But you remember them old school coaches like a Dicker, like a Tom Landry, even with Don Shula. You had coaches who didn't wear the headset, was what he was, the head coach. So, which means he's not drawing up X's and O's, whether it's offense or defense, but he knows how to lead the team.
Mm-hmm.
It's a leader doesn't have to be X's and O's. The leader is a leader. He knows how to lead. He knows how to fire guys up. He knows how to put people in the right places, whether players, staff, or whoever. He has a vision. That's what the great head coaches were. I'm not saying the other coaches aren't, because you have some good ones, like Andy Reid and so on. But Dan Campbell was one of those coaches where he doesn't need to call plays, but he needs to make the decision. He needs to lead his guys, be the leader, be someone they can lean on. He can get to them, talk to them. And Detroit is talented. I mean, I don't think they get enough credit for the talent they have on that entire team, offensively and defensively. So, of course, it goes through Detroit. And with Jordan Love, I'm scared of the Packers in a sense. I mean, because they don't even have good receivers like that. But that's how good he is. And honestly, I can't think of his name, but he's a good coach too. I have to give it to him. I thought it was because of Rodgers, but no. Green Bay Packers. Matt LaFleur, he's a great coach. I probably didn't remember purposely because he's a Packers.
It's a psychological block.
Probably thing. That's what it was. But
I'll put it this way: I'll give credit to my good friend from the Duval Dive, Travis Holmes of Big Cat Country, for helping remember that. He's a big LaFleur guy, which I mean,
but he's a good coach. I think he's a good coach. So I think it goes through Detroit. So meaning, not saying Detroit will win the division, but in order to win this division, you have to beat Detroit. You have to beat them at least once. You have to. It's just no running around. It was just like the Packers. In order to beat the Packers, you had to beat the Packers. I mean, in order to get above them, you had to beat them, which Detroit did at one year, and then the next year you see what they did. It boosted confidence and everything. So yeah, it goes through Detroit.
So I mean, I guess it's that time to get to the nitty gritty. By the way, I forgot week one that you and your fellow 3-point conversion man there in one, Cortland Griffin, is going to be probably watching the TV very closely. I forgot they opened with the Titans.
Right. I
hope y'all are already planning the party. That's all I'm saying. With all that in mind, actually, well, no, I hope both of you are actually in press boxes that day, but I digress.
That's in Chicago. I'll be in Atlanta, but go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, exactly. Maybe Cortland will be watching from his place there in Tennessee. But obviously the AFC South on the schedule. Is it the NFC? It's not the NFC West, the NFC South, right? No, it is.
No,
your pardon.
We play the NFC.
Oh, it is the West. I did have it correct. Yeah.
We play the West. Yeah, because we play Seattle. Yeah.
But but with all that in mind, you do have a couple tougher games on there. Obviously, if you're playing the NFC West, you got the 49ers. Ouch. But that Commanders game's winnable. I believe you have the Panthers on the schedule. Like, that's incredibly winnable. And particularly ironic that you're in a position to take their lunch money on the field because you already did in the offseason. That's the Bears front office. But,
Right.
putting all that in mind, tell me where you're at. How do you think this team's going to finish?
Kyle, I know you get tired of me saying this, but it's going to be hard to gauge because I haven't seen Caleb play yet, so it's hard. But like I usually do, I'll give a range. 7 to 10 games. I think the talent alone can win this 6 games. I think you always get that one game that you beat a team that you're not supposed to beat. That always happens. Now, a team's going to beat you that's not supposed to beat you either, but that always happens. So I can see 7. But if Caleb is good as we think he is, barring any injuries, yeah, I see 10 games.
Yeah, that's not bad. That's not bad. I'll say this. So I'll walk through it with you this way. Splitting the NFC North, I think, is where I'm going to sit because there's just so much unpredictability. But in that, I'm implying you steal one from the Lions, and you could just be one Dan Campbell gets too bold, one too many times moments away from winning the football game. Listen, as a 49ers fan, I watched that ish happen in the NFC Championship. So, that's a thing that could happen, right? When it comes to the NFC East, I don't think you lose to the Commanders, right? I don't think we see a world there where, where you would lose to the Giants today,
Do we play it? Hold on. Do we play it? I thought we played the West.
Or excuse me, I'm saying the East. Beg your pardon. Let me go through the West then. I don't see you losing to the Cardinals. That's tantamount to me. You do have it threw me off because you have the Red Tails. Sorry, Commanders.
Yeah, we played it. Right.
The Rams is a real toss-up game. And by the way, will Matt Stafford still be healthy, for that football game? That one's kind of tough. I can make an argument that you split because I don't think the Seahawks are as impressive as they've been in the past. I think they take a step back this year. See, this still works. I'm still going to put you at 2-2 against the NFC matchup there. So that's all right. AFC South, I could claim the same thing. The Colts, will they be healthy? Will Anthony Richardson be upright by the time they face the Bears? That would be interesting. Can Caleb beat Joe Flacco in a shootout if it comes to that? Maybe. We don't know yet. The Titans, I'm not a believer in the mayonnaise messiah. I'm sorry. Cortland's just going to have to deal with the fact that he has a trash quarterback, in my opinion. And, DeAndre Hopkins being hurt early isn't going to help anything when you're opening in week on. By the way, rookie coach over there in Brian Callahan, that's a very interesting adjustment. I think you beat them on the strength of the fact it's the first week of the season. I could definitely see you 2-2 out of the AFC South, right? That means I already have you at 7 wins, but getting off the bat there, right? Then I mentioned the Red Tails. I think you probably beat them. The Panthers. And then I'm, you know what? Your third bonus game is of little consequence to me. I just put you at 9 wins in a playoff competition, right? You say 10, I'm going to keep you at 9 just because the Bears might bear a little bit with the rookie quarterback. Maybe Caleb makes a mistake, costs you one game in particular that would be otherwise close. But, you ain't going to get – if you came home with 9-8 competing for the playoffs this year, are you really that mad as a Bears fan?
No, you can't be, especially with a rookie quarterback. We've gotten better than what we were last year. We won 7 games last year. With Justin missing basically 6 games. So I like where we are. Like I said, our defense last year, we finished the last 5-6 games. We were like, since we had we got Sweat, we were I think top 5 defensively last year. So our defense, TJ Edwards is a beast, just linebacker. I like our corners. Like, I mean, I like my team. We don't have any holes anywhere. The only place, to me, the biggest hole I really feel like can be, and we might get better, the defensive line. I like Dexter. I like the well, he's a sophomore now, got out of Florida. But my thing is, who is the other DN? Are we going to get that rush from somewhere else, besides Sweat? That's my only issue. But everywhere else on the team, I don't see any holes in it. Well, I feel like we have definitely easily top 10 linebacker core. I like my secondary, and I like the of course I like the offense, total offense. Line, I got Tevin Jenkins, he kept getting hurt. He was basically like our best lineman, but he was hurt again yesterday. So I don't know, but again, it's just we got to see. We got the rookie quarterback at the helm, so we got to see. But I'm excited though.
I mean, 9 wins with a rookie quarterback, like we were just saying, would be awesome, I think, for this group. And yeah, we'll leave that at that. So with all that controversy, contra, as I call you, Raphael Haynes, tell the world.
Only he can call me that also.
Yeah. There's meaning, there's depth in there. You got to get your scuba certification. If you find me a person and ask me, I'll tell you. But that's
right. You can find me on social media. First, the company, the 3-point conversion. You see it down there below me at 3-point conversion. We're on Facebook. Make sure you like and follow our Facebook page. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Please subscribe. TikTok, Threads, LinkedIn. You can see we're everywhere. Also, you can find me at Ra Haynes, RAHAYNES on Instagram and Twitter, and Threads, I believe. Yeah, Facebook is just Raphael Haynes. So, hey man, I appreciate it once again. I love doing this, and let's see what happens.
Hey man, I'll be looking out for you on the sports lounge too once I wrap up with this action here.
Yes.
That's going to be a fun time. I haven't seen any calls from grandma on Facebook, or is she still healthy when we get some calls from grandma every now and again? I ain't seen one.
Yeah, she's recovering. She's coming back. She's definitely coming back for football. So yeah, Get ready because grandma's coming back. I got to make a few calls. There's been a lot going on. This summer's been real kind of slow. So trust me.
I got to check that Meemaw's okay, man. That's all. That's what it is.
She's coming back though.
Right on, man. Of course, I am Kyle Nash, the student of the game. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads at the SOTG. Find me on Facebook as the student of the game. Check out my writings with the Jaguars on SI, the Black and Gold Banneret, and of course, see a little action on the 3-point conversion there too every now and again. Pretty soon, I'll be dropping that preview. AFC South. I know we were talking about which division was being AFC South. I got my action there on the Night Shift podcast, powered by the Black and Gold Banneret. You'll see that drop on Tuesdays, as well as the Duval Dive Friday at 11 a.m. Somehow or another, I'm still going to be able to record that show and do Meet the Teacher, right? You know what that struggle is, Raphael Haynes, trying to juggle those things.
I already know.
For Darrell Owens, my guy, Mikey Byrne, and of course, C-Hen, all in the building. And of course, my good friend, Controversy Raphael Haynes. Kyle Nash to do the game. Until next time, everyone, class dismiss.